Week 2 is upon us, Husker fans. Georgia Southern coming into town after putting a drubbing on Morgan State. They've got quarterback Kyle Van Treese, who we saw last year with Buffalo. And we want to get straight into showing you what you can expect to see Saturday.
These guys run a fairly similar system to us. Similar, not exactly, on both sides of the ball. They spread a little more on the offense than we do. We tend to keep a tight end up on one side or the other, or even like where Brewington was running a lot of that H-back spot. But running game wise, it's similar to what we did when we started having success, especially in that second half where Grant was breaking off some runs and do a little more zone blocking. On this play, you're going to see the right and left guard are going to immediately jump into the second level to try and get into the linebackers, and this one's going to go left on the snap. As soon as he gets the handoff, he comes over. The one guy makes connection, the one guard, but the right guard doesn't, so they're able to get down into the gap and save the play from actually turning up if he can get sealed off. You notice the left guard is able to get leverage, just a little bit leverage on the middle linebacker, and when the running back's coming through that lane, the right guard whiffs on his guy, or the linebacker sheds it and is able to save the tackle there. And that's something we had issues with on the defensive side of the ball, not only with the missed tackles, but getting off of blocks or getting off of the line and getting into fits, whether it's into the gap or being able to get into pursuit quicker so that when they came through the lane, we could get them. This is something that I noticed throughout the game, and when we were watching game film. They might get to that second level. They weren't very good at sealing, and a lot of times we'll get to it in the pass protection. They might make contact, but they couldn't hold off their guys. So they run that play, and they go right back to it in the opposite direction. This is essentially the same thing. They stack the receivers on both sides, but they're going to go right. And they do a decent job getting in the second level, making contact, but the linemen that are more of a heads up in the end gets loose, flushes them out wide, which we're pretty good at doing. I think we'll do a good job between Mathis and Nelson, and when Caleb Tanner's in there. So when he gets forced right, the corner does a good job keeping his eyes in the backfield, sees what's happening, and is able to come up. He doesn't make the tackle, but he disrupts it enough that he forces him wide and help can come, and it's a successful defensive play.
So yeah, those two run plays, inadvertently or not, set up this next pass play. It's a beautiful toss, a fade into the end zone, and the receiver makes an even better one-handed catch.
I don't know if it's meant to go this quick of a route, but you see the tight pressure, the heads up top of the screen, the corners up on the receiver. The look is the same as the last two run plays, and with that tight, I think you're gambling that either they're still going to have their eyes in the backfield or your receiver can get off. It's still decent coverage, or not decent. It's really good coverage, actually. It's just like you said, a really good throw and a really good catch. And, there's no help over the top because the way they spread out with all the DBs, you're really only going to ever get one man high. So it's just things like that Nebraska's going to have to look out for. And they're not going to run a lot. They pass a lot, but they don't want to overcommit when things get a little repetitive and you're seeing what's working and what's not working run game wise, and then you get burned on something like this. If it was not down in the goal line, maybe with a little more time and a play action, he could have been gone, with nobody over the top. And that's something I think Nebraska could be susceptible to, and definitely is going to have to keep their eyes out for.
I think as long as we get some pressure, which we should be able to do against this line, Van Treese will make mistakes.
Yeah, he tends to make mistakes. When he doesn't have pressure, it tends to amplify when he does. But you see here, the pocket will collapse. I don't know if he even really knows that guy, I shouldn't say the pocket collapsed. Guy gets loose off the edge. It's on his backside. I don't know if he sees it. I feel like it definitely affected the pass and going over. He's still kind of trying to force it into coverage. These guys don't have the pass rush that we should have, like I said, with our main three pass rushers. So I'm kind of anticipating that he'll be a little bit more amped up, a little more nervous, in a little bit more of a hurry to get rid of the ball. And this will be a little bit more of a common thing. Even next play you see here, the pressure's coming, but he doesn't know. He gets rid of the ball before he's hit, and he still overthrows a wide open guy coming off the little pick route. And that's another thing. They run a lot of those short crossing pick routes. They run a ton of screen plays, and then they kind of try to lull you to sleep with that. And like we showed before on the run plays, and then they try to stretch it down the field and hit a home run. But I don't know that the deep ball is going to be there a lot for him. We're going to have to get deeper into our bag in the defensive backfield. because they throw the ball so much. But I think the pass rush is going to be the main factor in how successful he is or isn't. All right, here's Morgan State running the same kind of type of run play like we were doing with Grant. Again, like Georgia Southern, they don't have that H-back Brewington Borkature guy like we tend to have. They kick them out wider. We're most likely not going to have a lot of looks like this for him. We're going to have that extra guy probably coming off motion to whatever side we're going to run, or he'll pull. But you notice here, their center and left guard get in the second level, kind of chip the linebackers, and the running back gets wide. But that right linebacker doesn't get sealed off, so he's able to make the play. And even though he's not sealed off, he doesn't make the play for, what is this, about a 6-7 yard run because of that kind of jab step the running back does to give him a little hezzy before he bounces outside. One, if this is Grant and the same plays going, we saw what he can do when he hits those gaps and the jump steps and things like that. But I also think we were doing a better job of maintaining contact when we got into the second level. And again, we had that H-back kind of coming around the end and sealing some of those big run plays, but at least making contact and then doing a good job sealing. And you look down here, the wide receiver is still dancing with the corner. We had a lot of times where guys like Omar and farther wide out guys are locking up and driving guys backwards or sealing them off. So I think looking at the score of this game, and as opposed to looking at the film, I think we'll have probably more success, in my opinion, running the ball than we did against North Dakota. It just depends on how quick we get to running these types of plays mixed in with the pass game, as opposed to trying to do the pro style run for the first half or however long until they decide to get a little more creative with it. Especially early on with the scripted plays, there's a lot of very quick release, one read type plays that Casey has. And they're either like comeback routes or quick slants or hard cuts. You can see here on this play at the bottom of the screen, the receiver is just going to be a pretty basic. He jumps inside and does kind of a lazy slant over the middle without a whole lot of pressure. I mean, there's not a lot of time for them to create too much pressure. They do bring the linebacker on the blitz. That's the other thing. Most of their blitzes, there was a couple exceptions. Most of their blitzes are a linebacker coming on the right or left side. It's nothing too creative. They don't do a lot of fancy bluffs and, stunts and different things like that to try to get through. So, I mean, if the line can be average at best, I think plays like this are going to be there. That, like I said, they're the same as us with those linebackers. Once they go to where they're going, or they buy it on a play action, or you just get too many guys over the middle, look how open the middle of the field is. There's going to be a lot of stuff like that throughout the day for plays like that. And that kind of fits right into the wheelhouse of what Whipple likes to do with those quicker crosses and slants. Last example is another one against the pass, and this was actually their longest pass play of the game. Is a 27-yarder, and it's basically a last resort check down, not much more than a screen, a halfback screen. They come with kind of an all-out blitz. They leave one backer in the middle, and once the quarterback's fleeing, he goes in to help. But I think back to like the missed Ramir Johnson screenplay. Plays like this again are going to be there. You see how much green is over the middle in that second level because they just don't have a lot of guys there. If they can pick up the blitzes, if they can see pre-snap that the blitz is coming, it's going to be one of those linebackers. You're going to have one guy covering a lot of area like that. He gets it 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage, and it's their biggest play of the game through the air. So just another example, if Casey can be accurate with those quick ones and not too panicky, I think there's across the board, man, they don't seem to have a really deceiving pass rush. They don't seem to really lock down. The corners seem to do a decent job, but as far as covering areas of the field, there's holes and gaps everywhere between our run game and the way we like to pass. I think there's going to be tons of opportunity for us to just have one of our best, or if our best offensive performance of the first 3 games.
Now, Gary, a lot of people don't know that Georgia Southern isn't an FCS team. I think a lot of people think that we are going up against an FCS team. They're FBS, and Morgan State was FCS. Georgia Southern did to Morgan State what we were supposed to do to North Dakota. And I think, frankly, we have to do to them what they did to Morgan State. I guess the only question left I have is their air raid offense going to be a problem for our all of a sudden porous pass defense?
It's just going to come down to if we can get off of the field on third downs. If our defense is stuck out there covering 3 and 4 wide spreads and trying to keep track of running backs on play actions and the short dump offs and the screen plays they like to do, then yeah, it's going to be a problem because we haven't seen them get too deep into the secondary as far as personnel goes. This is a really good opportunity to see Gifford and Klervik on the field together because they run so wide. You can have both of them. They're both interchangeable, kind of an outside backer spot, especially Klervik. They're going to have to get off the field reasonably quick, no more than 1 or 2 first downs in a drive, and get on the sidelines. The pass rush is going to be a key factor, but I don't think their tackle, number 60, seems to have very narrow stance and slow feet. And I think whoever he lines up against, whether it's Mathis or Nelson, or when Caleb Tanner's coming off the edge, he was flying around last weekend. So they're going to have their hands full with the pass rush. We've seen that Van Treese likes to get a little excited and overthrow some balls. I think it's going to magnify with the pass rush. No, I don't think it's going to be too big of a factor. We are going to have that weak spot over in the second level when linebackers are in the wrong spot or, overcommit to things. But I think the pass rush will make up for a lot of it. And I think with our better personnel of having the extra guys in the dime, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
Yeah, if they don't get off the field in a hurry, it could become a problem because they run a real up-tempo offense, not a stand there, hands on your hips, looking at the sideline, reading cards that have Family Guy pictures on them. Like, they go immediately, as soon as they can. It doesn't matter if, it didn't even seem to matter if it would behoove them to slow it down. They still went fast-paced. What is your outcome prediction of this game?
I don't know score-wise, but I think once we come off the scripted plays, I really do think that there might still be a little bit of that discrepancy where it's back to Whipple's deal. I don't think it's going to take a full even quarter. I think if it doesn't come out right away, it won't take long, and there'll be more of a cohesive play calling that is functional for both the run and the pass game, and we're not going through such quick 3 and outs or trying to bang our head into a wall when things aren't working.
Tell us what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys have any predictions, score or just outcome? And as usual, look for us on Sunday night for a live stream breaking down whatever this result of this game is. Until then, Big Red Country, let's ride.